Influencer and TikToker Charli D'Amelio has just been accused of stealing photos from a photographer for her new book called Essentially Charli. The photographer is accusing her of taking them without his permission and making millions off his work. I'm gonna get into all the details in just a moment, but first, if you can do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. With over 123 million followers on TikTok, it's clear that Charli D'Amelio is one of the top creators on the platform, and she has not wasted any time putting that massive influence to use. She has done countless events, snagged her own drink at Dunkin' Donuts, and received major makeup collabs with Morphe, and now she has even put out her own book, all while she was filming her own reality TV show with her family for Hulu. Although her book is becoming a big target of criticism after a photographer named Jake Doolittle claimed that Charli had used his photos without his permission. In a series of since deleted tweets, Doolittle accused D'Amelio of making millions off of his work. In one tweet he says, "I can't think about anything but the millions you made off my photos." What's more confusing though is that Jake had actually worked previously with Charli, so it's not like she didn't know who he was and just stole a bunch of random pics off of Google. She fully knew who Jake was. She even tagged him for snapping a pic of her doing an aerial dance move. Now, due to Charli's insanely large fan base, making an accusation like that means he's going to have some people calling him out. So to clear things up, Jake explained the situation further, saying, "I feel like people are misconstruing what I'm saying. Nobody asked to use my photos. I was never told the photos would be in the book. A credit in the book means nothing when they don't have your permission." Doolittle continued to shame Charli for taking his photos in more tweets, even attaching a pic of her with the book and saying, "Me when I never got paid for photos." Now, it's still unclear as to exactly why Jake had deleted all of those tweets, and Charli has yet to respond to these accusations, but I'm assuming she must have personally reached out, or at least I hope so. It could have also been that she was getting a lot of hate on these posts and just didn't want to deal with the influx of notifications blowing up his phone every 2 seconds. The book was released around the end of December in 2020, but the accusations are very new. It's possible that Jake, like he said, just didn't really see the book in time and now he's just deciding to come out for it, but then that would also make Charli look really bad for taking the photos for her book and not paying Jake, just kind of, I guess, waiting to see if he found out about it. On the other hand, it may not have been Charli at all who had a choice in what photos made it into the publication. It could have very well been someone completely different that handled this portion. This is also the problem with having so much going on in your life. It's easy to leave these decisions up to other people, but then if anything is wrong with it, the blame usually falls onto the creator and not the publisher or the person in charge of selecting the photos for the book. If I can backtrack for a bit though, Charli did tag Jake on the aerial dance move photo even further back. It's dated as December 9th, 2019, which means that he has probably been working with the TikTok star for a while now. His credibility at least checks out because if you go to his page, it's filled with photos of big influencers that were indeed taken by him, and most of them are behind the scenes. Then there's even more shots of Charli from a shoot in New York City on his page that were also taken in 2019. So you would think that Charli knew that if she had a book coming out, she would at least double check that the photos inside were all paid for, but alas, that is just not the case. Perhaps she paid for the initial photo shoots and just thought that she owned the rights to all of the pics from that, which in any other scenario would be the case. If you just had them in a photo album or hanging up on your wall, that would be totally fine. But if you're using them in a publication where you're going to be making millions or any significant amount of money really off the book, it's probably a good idea to reach out to the photographer and cut them a nice check for elevating your material. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this though, so don't forget to drop us a comment down below. And while you do that, I'm going to check out some of your comments from the video titled "Britney Spears Denies Jamie Spears $2 million Payout." PM says, "Rosengard straight up stated in the petition filed that Britney will not be extorted. Love to see it. Rosengard is smart. He filed the first petition for removing knowing Jamie would lash out and bury himself. Well done, Matthew, well done." Well done to Matthew Rosengard indeed. He is definitely fighting harder than anyone else has for her. V-Min says, "This just shows what she is to him. All he's thinking about is the cash. At least her lawyer ain't going to give in and give him the money." Yeah, thank God for that. Child Please says, "Disgusting, the most embarrassing dad in history." I think he'll go down. I think he'll go down on that list as one of the most embarrassing dads in history. You're right with that one. Mockingjay says, "I can't believe these kinds of parents really exist." Believe it. Connie says, "A payout as if he were a CEO of a company asking for their golden parachute goes to show how the conservatorship has always been a business." It certainly has, and this definitely is a bit of an admission of guilt that he was viewing this simply as a business and didn't really have his daughter's best interest in mind. Especially saying it's blackmail, right? I'll step down if you pay me $2 million. Doesn't work like that. But guys, that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try.